In a world that constantly demands us to hustle and grind, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to prove ourselves at every single turn. Today, let's explore practical strategies to still thrive without burning ourselves out. Welcome to Conscious Matters. I'm Melissa. On this channel, I talk about empowerment through growth mindset and mindfulness. I made a whole video about external validation. I'll let you check it out. But just to point it out here, self-validation is extremely tied with self-worth. Even though it's hard to admit it, when we feel this pull or this urge to prove ourselves, it doesn't undermine the fact that external validation is extremely and closely linked with a fragile sense of self-worth. Because relying on other people's approvals of you, of your work, pushes you to constantly need to prove yourself. And because you cannot control other people's behaviors or perception of you or what you do, your craft, so on and so forth, as soon as you don't have this validation, how does that make you feel? It doesn't make you feel good, right? And you always have this expectation to not only fulfill your desires and your needs, but to have like this stamp of approval from someone else who's on a completely different journey, has a completely different vision or perspective of who you are and what you do. But by still wanting to prove yourself over and over and over again, you are distancing yourself from your own self-acceptance. Plus, another pitfall of trying to constantly prove yourself is the myth that we are machines in some ways. I've talked about that several times on this podcast, but we forget that we are humans because in this society, especially the Western society, and I think with mondialization is the same in most places now, there is this expectation to always, every single day, be productive and efficient in every single area of your life. And with that mindset and the pressure from the external world to fulfill that mindset and to operate on that mindset, we push ourselves beyond our own limits, trying to do it all at the same time without adequate rest or self-care. We're not taking breaks. We push as much as possible. We have work on our phone, work emails. Our phones became our little computers that we can carry everywhere, so it's as if we are also expected to work all the time, even back at home. And the more that we keep on pushing ourselves beyond our limits without rest, breaks, self-care, or at least not an actual balance between both, burnout can occur more often than not. And it's no shade, like so many of us are going through that, myself included. Like I talked about it before. I went through such a severe burnout 10 years ago. That's crazy when I think about that. 10 years ago. And it took me so many years to come back from it. I was doing it all. I was pushing myself to not even the limit, but I was trying to build a business, taking the bar exam, and then also life as a young woman in this world, like your friends, your family, so on and so forth. And that was way too much. Oh yeah, and I was doing an internship at a very major international organization as well. I'm like, how on earth did I do that? And of course, I crashed. I crashed so severely that it took me, I would say like a good 3 years to feel like I could actually get back on my feet. And the weird thing with burnout is that the recovery takes so long that you end up not trusting yourself anymore. You start losing your confidence. You start feeling like now you're incapable of doing what you used to do when you push yourself so hard and for so long, that your self-worth that was, I guess, not healthy before or not where it could be to sustain you properly because you were trying to prove yourself, even though it wasn't consciously. Now you feel so down on yourself. You feel like you're not useful. You're not as brilliant as you were. So you keep on degrading your own self-worth. So I think that is a double punishment to push ourselves way beyond human capacities. Trying to always be in machine mindset, proving yourself, or going through burnout, in any case, The toll on your mental well-being and emotional well-being is too much of a price to pay, because all of that self-criticism can lead to feeling of inadequacy, anxiety, depression. Even though you can still function with depression and anxiety. That's what we call high functioning depression or high functioning anxiety. It's still depression and anxiety. And that constant self-criticism undermines your motivation, your resilience, and you just want to give up altogether. Again, as I was saying, it feels like a double punishment. So that's why it's so important to catch yourself way before getting to that stage. So how can you forge a little bit more self-acceptance, first of all, but also self-compassion? As always, mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. Acknowledging and accepting difficult emotions without judgment gives you this grace that you don't necessarily have from the external, like the external validation that you were looking for. Not everyone's going to give grace to you. So give it to yourself. Do your best always, but then accept that life is full of ebbs and flows. And when you're in the ebb, it's where you have to show as much compassion to yourself as you can, so you can then get back again into the flow. But if you're already in the ebb and you beating yourself down, you're gonna stay stuck in there. So another component to find self-acceptance and self-compassion is common humanity. We are all humans trying to figure life out. So imperfection and struggles are part of this shared human experience. So don't beat yourself down when you're not managing something, when you're going through a struggle, when you're facing a difficult and very heavy situation. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to put on this mask to act as if everything is going so well when behind closed doors you're crumbling down. Do your best, always. There's always room for improvement, but it's so important to be truthful with ourselves and to be kind to ourselves. Not in the sense of trying to find excuses to not do X, Y, and Z, but to accept that it's not always going to be perfect. And if it's not always going to be perfect for you, it's the same thing for every single one of us. We're all in that experience together. So even though someone seems like they're thriving right now, which is amazing for them, it doesn't mean that they're not facing difficulties or hardships or setbacks right now, or it doesn't mean that they haven't experienced negative experiences, setbacks, challenges back in the journey, or even in the future after the current peak. It goes ups and down, ups and down, ups and down, sometimes loops, and you feel like you're going back and then up as if you were jumping timelines. But again, use your mindfulness, observe yourself without judgment, quiet your mind, ground yourself. Realize that we all dealing with stuff all together. We might not be vocal about it all the time, but it's the same thing for everyone. Ebbs and flows. So then, trying to prove yourself to the world, is it really necessary? What's the intention behind it? Why do you feel that it will give you a sense of worth if the others are approving of what you do or how you behave? Do you even approve it yourself? So don't be too harsh on yourself. Be kind to yourself. I think I said that before, but we tend to be our harshest critics, especially when we're perfectionists, talking from experience here, but releasing the pressure as much as we can, because it's always pressure externally and internally itself, but it's finding that right balance between, yes, I want to achieve so much in my life. I'm ambitious. I want to thrive in life because I believe in myself. I believe in my abilities, in my skills, and I've done the work. So I want it to shine outwardly, compared to if the world approves of me or approves of my work, then it means that I'm valued, I'm important, I matter. So again, we can thrive in life. I think it's our duty to thrive in life. But what is your intention behind how you show up into this world? Why do you want to get the applause? Because it's okay to want to get the applause. It's totally fine. But again, what is your motivation? I think when we put the mirror right in front of us and we see ourselves clearly and we take out all of the fluff, all of the lies we tell ourselves, all of the projections that are put onto ourselves, and we really clear on our worth, our self-love, our self-care, how we treat ourselves with, again, acceptance, kindness, and compassion, that's when thriving becomes more about an achievement for the improvement of self, of wanting to create, of wanting to share with the world the creation that you made, the impact that you want to have on others, rather than making it for filling out what you feel that you're lacking within yourself. So you can fill up your cup a little bit more so you don't walk through life with this feeling of lack that you expect others to feel in within yourself. And that will help in stopping, or at least diminishing, this need to prove yourself. You're already enough. You are already enough. You don't need the approval of anyone. Just make sure you approve of yourself, that you accept your whole self, so you can show up authentically in this life. So you can thrive through self-acceptance and self-compassion by reframing your failures and setbacks. Again, we all go through that. That's so interesting because we make them such a big deal in how terrible it is to fail and to have setbacks in our lives. Like, at this age, I'm not in this relationship, I'm not at this point in my career, or I don't have X amount of children. Whatever your inner critic is telling you or society is telling you, failures and setbacks are natural parts of the learning process rather than personal deficiencies. And we all learning life. We haven't lived that life before in this identity or in this body. So everything is new pretty much for all of us. So I think it's time to demystify them and make them common. As simple as that, just common. They're natural. And when we approach challenges with curiosity, but also a growth mindset, we can find, and most importantly, focus on the lessons gained through the setbacks and the failures. And that gives us an extra boost to then start again a different way, to tweak a few things here and there, to keep on thriving instead of giving up altogether. And also be fair with yourself. Take time to acknowledge and celebrate your achievements, but also your progress along the way. You are not where you were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So celebrate your progress and your growth rather than fixating on perfection or end goals. I mean, end goals are very important, but maybe there's a different way that you can go about it. And maybe you're already on your way to get there, even though you're not exactly where you want to be, you're still on your way. And that's progress. That's a reason to celebrate. So take time to appreciate yourself, appreciate what you're already doing, no matter how small. The most important is to keep on going, to keep on moving forward. Because after a while, with commitment, with patience, with persistence, it will compound itself all together and you will get to whatever goals you set your mind to. You are still thriving in that without the need to prove yourself to others. It's about you. So then you're shifting the mirror perspective from the outside world to your inside world. Now you're facing yourself and you accept yourself. To thrive without making it about other people's approval of yourself and of your work and who you are, setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing self-care is key. Establish clear boundaries to protect your time, your well-being, and your energy. The 3 components to avoid burnout as well. Because thriving and heading to burnout, is it really thriving? Or is it working yourself to the bone? So again, boundaries are about, yes, setting them with others, but also with yourself. When you feel like you have reached your limit for the day, respect that boundary. Respect that, okay, now I stop. Tomorrow is another day. I will double down, or I will have probably more energy, and that will help me to do more than I did today. And it's okay, because every single day is not going to look the same. But I'm still moving forward. I'm still thriving. I'm still showing up every day. So respect your boundaries, and also self-care. As I said, prioritize activities that nourish your soul, nourish your body, nourish your mind. So consume and practice things that are filling you up from the inside. And lastly, embrace vulnerability. Because when we want to prove ourselves, like, we kind of want to be seen, be heard, being acknowledged, being proved that we matter. So we can still allow ourselves to feel seen and heard and understood, because these are basic human needs. But if we're being authentic and we embrace vulnerability, we allow ourselves to be seen, heard, and understood from a holistic perspective. So with our qualities, but also with our flaws. We're a whole package. We're not just good, we're not just bad, we're everything at once. And that's by showing up authentically that we're able down the line to foster authentic connections with others. In other words, by sharing our successes, yes, of course, they should be celebrated, but also our struggles. They can be extremely inspiring to others. Because again, we are all in this shared human experience. As you can tell by now, letting go of this need to constantly prove ourselves is extremely liberating and even transformative, because you then experience your life from such a lighter place, a less anxious place of, would they like me? Would they approve what I did? And if I do all of this work and I'm not acknowledged, then it means that everything that I've done is useless, is horrible. I'm a waste of space and air or whatever. So liberate yourself. By cultivating self-acceptance and self-compassion, you can break free from the cycle of self-criticism and burnout, or at least not leading yourself towards burnout, and instead learn to thrive in your own terms. Treat yourself with the love, understanding, and respect you deserve, and watch as you thrive even more beautifully and even more powerfully. So embrace your imperfections and let your authentic self shine through. People will love that, will appreciate that, would feel inspired by that. And you won't even need that approval from others, but the acknowledgement and the applause will be just the cherry on the cake for you. And that's what is really thriving, right? Share in the comments below which strategy you want to start with to keep on thriving without proving yourself to others or burning yourself out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, stay true, keep showing up for yourself, and let your soul lead the way.